You got the battle for the control of the Strait of Hormuz appearing to intensify yet again. So the U.S. ramping up its retaliation after Iran earlier in the week targeted several commercial ships in that strategic waterway and its refusal to come to the negotiating table.
All this as President Trump sits down with Trey Yingst in a wide-ranging interview talking about foreign policy. And Trey is with us live. He's in Washington. Good morning, Trey.
Yeah, Dana, good morning. This morning, U.S. Central Command announced a new wave of strikes against the Iranian regime going after targets near the Strait of Hormuz, rare daytime strikes. As the president told Fox News, these strikes will intensify and expand next week. Here's what he said is next on the list of targets.
Next week comes the power plants. Next week comes the bridges. We're going to knock out all their power plants. We're going to knock out all their bridges, unless they get to the table and negotiate.
Do you believe the Iranians are serious about making a deal?
I think they have no choice.
Why haven't they yet?
I think if I didn't do the way I'm doing, they would never make a deal.
The U.S. blockade of Iranian ports is back in place. It's being enforced by the U.S. Navy as these strikes are taking place along the coast. The president told Fox News the Strait of Hormuz remains open. Here's what he had to say. Shipping data trackers indicate that just 10 vessels passed through the Strait of Hormuz on Monday, less than 10% of what normally goes through this critical waterway. When you say the strait is open, what do you mean?
It's open if people want to go through it. We're not opening it for Iran. That's the only one it's closed for. It's closed for Iran both in and out. People are finding now that there are alternatives to the Strait of Hormuz. And it's pretty amazing. You saw the line of boats going up to Texas about 2 weeks ago when it was actually closed. It looked like the Long Island Expressway for ships. There are pipelines being built right now all over the place. It's going to be doing less business in the future than it used to.
In the interview with Fox News, President Trump left open the possibility of a limited ground operation in the future. He also didn't rule out seizing Carg Island if the conditions were right. Dana?
All right, Trey Yingst, thank you, and congrats on the interview.
John Fozzie Miller, the U.S. Navy, with us now, retired commander of the U.S. Fifth Fleet. You know the area very well, Bahrain especially, Persian Gulf. Does this begin to change the course of this conflict or not?
Good morning, Bill. Thanks for having me. I do think it's starting to change the course of the conflict here. We've been in this sort of tit-for-tat exchange with the Iranians for several weeks now. That really plays to their advantages, not to ours. And so I think expanded strikes on the part of the U.S. going after Iranian centers of gravity, things that the regime needs to stay in power, ways that they can make money are the road ahead that we have chosen, and it's the road ahead that we have to be on. So we're going to have to continue to impose a cost every time Iran interdicts a ship inside the Strait of Hormuz, every time they attack one of their neighbors or our military facilities that are located around the region.
Sir, could you help our audience and me, maybe Bill already knows, but understand more about why this shift, and now today you see attacks during the day rather than usually they happen overnight?
Well, we like to attack at night because we really control the night skies. We have the equipment that allows us to operate at night just as effectively as we can do in the daytime. But given the situation in Iran, their lack of air defenses, their inability to interdict any sort of airstrikes, it doesn't matter if we attack day or night. And in fact, we probably ought to be in a position right now to be attacking day and night so that there is no period of day where the Iranians feel like they're safe. They should understand that at any moment, at any time, things that they hold dear, things that they need to stay in power are at risk, and that we're willing to take them out.
All right, listen to the Democratic Senator Jeanne Shaheen on the lack of a strategy.
The president has not had a strategy for how to conduct this war. Here we are, several months in, and he hasn't accomplished any of the goals he set out to do. And now he's talking about putting boots on the ground in Iran. I don't think that's an option that makes sense. We need another ceasefire, and we need a negotiated settlement of this war.
Okay, in the meantime, during these daytime raids, the first time I can tell, we're not just hitting buildings or infrastructure. We hit an army barracks, and several Iranian soldiers apparently are dead. Many more are wounded. What do you take from that from afar today, Ozzy?
Well, what I take from it is that the regime needs to understand that everything that they hold dear are things that we will put at risk. And every time that they act in a malign fashion, they attack ships in the Gulf, they attack our military facilities, they attack our neighbors, including they just attacked last night or this morning a Kuwaiti naval vessel. Every time they do that, they're going to pay a price. And it's something that we are going to take away from them that they hold dear, that they need to be able to stay in power, that they need to be able to thrive as a regime. So I think we'll see more expanded strikes. We talked earlier in the show about Pickaxe Mountain, but also other infrastructure, lines of communication. If there are ways that their military is being resupplied by the Russians or the Chinese, we ought to be stopping that.
Fozzie Miller, thank you for being with us today as this is underway, and we'll be back in touch.
Thank you, sir. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.